Welcome back to the wonderful world of warriors. Today is day 3 of Ravenwing's week. The scene that my sister Rachel's gonna be drawing today is of Mapleshade stalking Ravenwing to the Moonstone and killing him there. Before Star Clan, at the very source of his precious omens and prophecies. I'll read this scene to you now. It's on pages 63 through 65 of Mapleshade's Vengeance. At last, the sky faded and the shadows between the rocks grew thicker. Mapleshade fluffed up her fur against the chill and crouched on top of a boulder, watching for any signs of movement at the foot of the hill. Suddenly, a darker shadow flitted across the grass. Ravenwing was here, alone and early as he usually was. Mapleshade unsheathed her claws and let them scratch against the stone. She stayed very still, hardly breathing, as Ravenwing climbed the slope towards her. Mapleshade tensed her hindquarters, ready to leap down onto the medicine cat. But then she paused. If she attacked him out here, she might be seen by the other medicine cats. And where was the satisfaction in a simple ambush? She should follow Ravenwing down to the Moonstone and tackle him there, at the source of his precious omens. Mapleshade pictured the long, stifling tunnel from her visit as an apprentice. Her pelt prickled at the thought of entering the darkness again. But then, the wails of her kits echoed in her ears. She slid soundlessly off the boulder, just a heartbeat before Ravenwing padded past. Mapleshade could hear him breathing heavily after the climb. She waited until he had vanished into the gaping maw of Mothermouth before slipping out and trotting after him. The hole swallowed her up at once, thick black shadows pressing around her until there was no glimpse of moonlight when she looked back towards the entrance. Mapleshade padded over the stone floor, trying to keep her paw steps as light as possible. But Ravenwing must have heard something, because he stopped, invisible in the dark ahead of her, and called out.
Who's there?
Mapleshade froze, convinced that her heart was thudding loud enough for the medicine cat to hear her. But after a moment, Ravenwing carried on, his paw steps the softest whisper in the silence. Faint gray light appeared up ahead, silhouetting the medicine cat's ears. The Moonstone. Mapleshade realized that she had dropped into a hunting crouch and was stalking forward one step at a time, her tail flattened behind her. She reached the opening of the cave and almost gasped out loud at the sight of the Moonstone glittering in the silver light. Ravenwing knelt in front of it, his head bowed. With a hiss, Mapleshade sprang forward. Claws extended, she landed on his back, sending him rolling onto the smooth, cold stone. She caught a glimpse of his eyes, bright in the reflected moonlight.
Mapleshade!
Ravenwing choked.
What are you doing here?
Mapleshade let her claws sink into the fur around his throat.
Avenging the death of my kids.
She snarled.
If I can kill you 3 times over, I would.
She knew she had nothing else to say to the medicine cat. Nothing would bring back her kits. He simply did not deserve to live when they were dead. She bit down on Ravenwing's neck.
No, wait, Maple... Ah!
And the black cat went limp beneath her. There was the sound of paw steps approaching down the tunnel. Mapleshade let Ravenwing fall to the floor and slipped behind the crystal. Great Star Clan! She heard Larkwing, the Wind Clan medicine cat, hiss, Ravenwing! What happened? There was a grunt from his companion. Peeking around the edge of the Moonstone, Mapleshade saw Slowfur, the Shadow Clan medicine cat, sniff at Ravenwing's unmoving body. He's dead, Slowfur announced in horror. He looked around, and Mapleshade ducked behind the crystal. We can't leave him here, yowled Larkwing. Come on, help me get him back to the surface. Mapleshade listened to the sound of them dragging Ravenwing up the tunnel. She waited until the rays of the moon had slid past the hole in the roof, and the cave was plunged back into darkness. Mapleshade's heart pounded, but she reminded herself that she had nothing to be afraid of. The only dangerous thing in the shadows was her. She wondered if the medicine cats would continue on with their gathering, but they did not come back to the cave. Mapleshade figured that they had returned to their clans to deliver the terrible news. When the tiny patch of sky above the hole turned white with dawn, Mapleshade stretched her cold, stiff legs and padded back up the tunnel. Outside Mothermouth stood a heap of small stones that had not been there before. A tuft of black fur poked up through a gap in the pile. Mapleshade sniffed and recognized Ravenwing's scent. Rather than carry him all the way back to the forest, his fellow medicine cats had decided to bury him here, marking his final nest with a careful mountain of rocks. Mapleshade curled her lip. What memorial was there to her kits? Nothing but the cold, wet dirt inside RiverClan territory. She struck out at the pile of stones, knocking them to the ground. Her claws caught on the rocks and her pads stung, but she kept on flailing until the heap was destroyed and Ravenwing's body was exposed to the gray dawn. Mapleshade looked up and caught sight of a hawk circling overhead.
Here's your next piece of fresh kill.
She thought with satisfaction. The hawk swept down closer, and Mapleshade bounded away from the scattered stones. She pelted down the hillside without looking back. She had avenged her kits.
Have you watched my precious kits? I have killed him for you. I hope you never see Ravenwing in StarClan. He should be in the place of no stars for all eternity.
Rest in pieces, Ravenwing. Literally.